Thanks for staying with us. Now, social accountability refers to the wide range of citizens' action to hold the state to account, as well as action on the part of the government, media, and other actors that promote or facilitate these efforts. Social accountability strategies and tools help empower ordinary citizens to exercise their inherent rights to hold government accountable for the use of public funds and how they exercise authority. Now, on Tuesday, as I'd mentioned earlier, we focused on how we can demand good governance from our leaders. And the subject of accountability was brought to the table by yours truly, Utsi. So, we are looking at accountability both as people and as leaders. That's our conversation tonight. So please let us hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. All right, so let me just quickly come to you, Uti, and I want to start first because I want to piggyback to what Uti had, Isi had mentioned about Femi Falana, commending the reports for the judicial panel from the NSA's reports that was brought forth, and commending them. Do you think that is a show or a sign of accountability? Do you see them, okay, that somehow those people felt they truly, that's the judicial panel now, they're truly accountable to the people, and that report is, you know, shows that there's hope for accountability in the country?
I don't know that I'm that optimistic. So the panel did a job.
Okay.
They did the job they were asked to do. They heard the victims, they heard all the different parties, and they've come out with their report. So did they do their job? Yes. Now, in terms of accountability, I mean, it's a step in the right direction, let's be fair, in that the government set up this panel. The panel was given the opportunity to do their work. Even though there was a lot of stalling from different parties, from the police, from the army, but they did their job by and large, and they've come out with quite a detailed report. So in that sense, I want to commend the Lagos State government, because I mean other states, all states were asked to set up panels, and I believe this is the only report that I've seen or heard of. Yeah. So it's important to also commend the government for doing that. But you know, accountability doesn't stop there, because I mean it's from what I saw, it's about 309 pages of the document on my phone, and it's a lot. And in there, we must acknowledge the fact that this panel and this report is only part of the journey. So when we talk about accountability, it's an end-to-end process. So if there are recommendations in this report, if there are remunerations in this report, all of these things need to be followed through. I remember reading something 2 days ago about the SARS or police station, which was tied to SARS in, is it Akuzu? Is it? I don't know.
Akuzu, that's
yes, so that was apparently one of the really notorious ones that had been, you know, all through the media back then. And I saw, I think it was a tweet where somebody had said, oh, that he'd been informed of a man who had been kidnapped or taken away by unknown forces a few weeks before, and then he'd been, you know, trying to search. Of course, it was a tweet, so it was quite brief, but the long and short of it was he was then informed that he should go to that, you know, Akuzu place, and the person was there, and you know, therein lies the issue. He went there and the person was there, and in my mind I thought, this station is still open, this place hasn't been, you know, shut down, you know, because there's that whole story about the person who wasn't in charge and how he was now retired and working as a security for I can't remember, but you know the story anyway. So when we talk about accountability, let's not do what we do as Nigerians and go, hey, for 5 minutes, and then we move on. You know, accountability is something that, I remember one of our callers on Tuesday talked about the power of institutions. Accountability is what builds institutions, because there's longevity. There is someone who can see, you know, 100 years down the line, this institution still exists and it's doing its job and it's above everybody, which is what the law is supposed to be. So have they done their job? Yes. For this to go full circle, then that report needs to be taken seriously, and it needs to, every recommendation in there needs to be put in place, or whatever needs to be paid, remunerations and all of that, all of it needs to be implemented. So that's how I choose to look at accountability from that point of view. But this is it's a good start. Something has happened. We've seen enough times when they say, oh, we're going to report this, we're going to investigate this. And so many, even when we talked about building collapses, for example, all the ones that have happened, we haven't heard, whether it was at the Church for All Nations, so many, and we haven't heard anything about convictions, whether it's that it's happening and it's not being reported, or it hasn't happened at all. The fact is, we don't seem to have any closure, and it keeps happening. So accountability is a cycle. It's not a one-off event. It is something that is continuous. That's the only way that we can feel the impact of accountability.
Absolutely. So we talk about Nigeria, accountability in Nigeria, right? There's a role of the people, right? The youth. Because I want to just focus on the youth. I don't want to focus on all the people. There's a role of the people and there's a role of the leaders, right? In your judgment or your assessment, EC, do you think that we are playing our roles right when it comes to accountability? Young people, are we being accountable? And the leaders, because everybody will say our leaders are not accountable, but do you think us as young people, as the youth, do you think we are playing our role? We are being accountable to our country?
I won't take, to respond to that question, I won't say it is a one-size-fits-all. Basically, to respond to it, I would take it from the angle of, there are different views in this aspect. And this is the this is going to be like, we have individuals who are interested in being who they are. We have youths who are interested in standing for the rights of the people. We have youths who are interested in just being selfish and self-centered. And we also have the youth who want to pass the responsibility of whatever they have done to someone else. So I will take it from different perspectives, and I will start with the one who decides to take whatever responsibility they have and pass it on to someone else. So we have individuals or youth in Nigeria who feel that, oh, I am entitled to this, but I do not want to scratch the surface or use my fingers to, they're like the cats. They don't want to scratch the ground to get the worms out. They would rather let someone else do the job for them, and they'll come in and take the glory. And we have lots of them like that.
Wait, calm down. But really, if you are given the opportunity, wait now, we're having a conversation. We're not fighting.
I'm not fighting.
If you're given that opportunity where you don't have to do the hard work, are you trying to tell me that you will not take on that opportunity?
Because at the end of the day, it will still come back to me. Believe it or not. And if it's my responsibility that I'm supposed to do it, I will step up to the plate.
Okay.
A simple example. Let's not talk about how I got here today. Okay? I am supposed to be on. I thought I wasn't. But that sense of duty and sense of responsibility is what brought me here. So if every youth decides to say, okay, this is what I'm supposed to.
On that note, you have hit it on the head.
If every youth should step up to the plate and say, hey, I will go in and do what I'm supposed to do, that is the first leg, basically. On my way down here, I saw different individuals on the road, and there was a bit of traffic just between Chevron and VGC. And in the course of coming down, what happened? I saw a military man flogging those who were on the right side of the road and allowing those who were coming from the opposite direction to go through. Not flogging the ones on the opposite direction or coming from the opposite direction. So it is going to start from us as individuals. Why are we not taking responsibility for this? Why? It is simple. We do not have love. I've said this time and time again. We as individuals don't love ourselves in Nigeria or in general. And if you look at it from the perspective, what are the types of movies they are exposed to? The type of movies individuals are exposed to these days are vampire movies, things like that will get their thoughts into that direction. There are too many things that are contributing
Well, so,
what
okay.
we have today.
I hear the part of
So
we don't.
accountability is, like Uti said, is a marathon.
No, so what I hear that part of where you say we do not have love for each other.
Yes.
I hear
Are
that
you
part
sure?
clearly. Wait
Yes.
now, wait. I hear that part.
Believe me.
I say I hear her. I didn't say whether I agree or I did not agree.
I agree with
But I
you.
hear you when you say that. And so let's piggyback to the NSAS protest. What is even bringing all of these conversations up? When I saw young people coming together, do you understand? For the first time, I truly had hope that it's not for lack of love. Do you understand? We truly do love each other, because that fight was not I was not fighting for myself. I was fighting both for the young person out there on the street, and I was fighting for even the security personnel, for a better life for them. You know? So where are we getting it wrong when it comes to the expression or the demand for accountability from our leaders? And I'll come to you, Uti, because it seems like we already have a clear picture of what we want, or what we seem to want as a country. We want a better Nigeria. We want to be able to say, you know what, I can wake up and be nobody's daughter, and yet I will make it in life. Just like the way you go abroad. As long as you have brains, you have great ideas, you put it to work, it yields results for you. You don't have to know anybody. You don't have to have any godfather, right? It's a fair system that you just plug. When you talked about institution, you plug into that system, and it brings results based on the matrix that you have put in. So where are we getting it wrong as a people? Why are we not in that space where we are able to, I don't know, get to that point of fairness for everyone? Because I think accountability is also some level of fairness.
So for me, fairness starts first of all with whether everybody has a level playing field to start with.
And we don't in Nigeria.
When you talk about everybody abroad having a level playing field, it doesn't mean that the situations that you see, there are also people that grow up there entitled. There are also people that, you know, have opportunities that other people don't have. So that's not a phenomenon unique to Nigeria. The difference we have, first and foremost, is from the foundation. Some people have the odds stacked against them because we don't have an inclusive education system. We don't even have, our culture, first of all, prioritizes the wrong things. So you see a person who grew up with the odds stacked against them, so they didn't have proper education, they were in a family that was uneducated, and rather than focus on wanting to be better, that cycle just self-propagates itself. So that person's focus is on, oh, as soon as I get to 18 or 20, I'm going to find a man, I'm going to marry, I'm going to have kids. So the cycle continues. So people are continuously being raised in that cycle. And remember, I said this is not something that's unique to Nigeria. Now, in those situations, some people will wake up, and even in America, you hear people say, I'm the first person in my family to get a GED, I'm the first person in my family to go finish high school, to go to university. So it's not unique to Nigeria. But we do have a mass volume of it. And our culture, like I said, breeds that cycle to continue. So you start from there, right? Now, when you then are in the environment that we're in, where there's a huge view, opulence is in full view of everyone,
Totally.
right? And the source of this opulence is not necessarily, as can maybe be seen in other climes, which is where the difference for me is, that it is a result of hard work, it's a result of ingenuity. Today, Elon Musk is the richest man in the world, and we know how, we know why. But what we see here is we see opulence. And with the exception of our politicians, our entertainers, there are very many people that you have no idea how they've come to be in this wealth. So when you see that, again, remember, glass half empty, glass half full. You can choose to say, you know what, I want to get that. And there are many ways to get it. You can pick up a gun, which is typically where we started. Armed robbery was where we started, you know. And we've morphed into gangs, assassins,
Online
robberies, fraud. It's just taken on a life of its own. Kidnapping, you know, so it's taken on a life of its own. So people now, for those who choose that way, right? Then you have the people who work hard, because look at what technology has given us in Nigeria today. How many unicorns do we have now in a very short space of time?
Sure.
People, young people, some young people, a lot of young people are choosing that path. They're choosing, you know, our 30 under 30 list is so rich, it's so robust. Young people are doing amazing things. You only need to spend, what, an hour on Instagram and you'll be shocked what businesses are being run by 23-year-olds, 24-year-olds. So again, Gen Z has its unique characteristics. So how do you choose to see it? Then for me, where we come to mindset, where you think, you see it all the time on Twitter, Nigeria kills dreams, Nigeria does this. But in this same place, young people are doing amazing things. So do we need to investigate and understand what the factors are? I guarantee education is at the bottom. Not necessarily that the foundation we speak of was right, but the choice that person made, holding themselves accountable to say, you know what, I want better. I'm going to go and educate myself. We are in the time when it is the easiest to educate yourself. If all the data that was spent watching Big Brother, if all the money that was spent voting on Big Brother was spent on doing Udemy courses or learning,
free courses
everything,
online,
you know, there would be opportunities. I know people today who are data scientists who didn't study data. They just went out there, went online and learned it. So the choice to continue to say, oh, our leaders are bad. Two wrongs don't make a right.
Absolutely.
Our leaders are bad doesn't excuse you to say, you know what, I'm going to do the wrong thing.
So you have to hold yourself accountable.
Exactly. So when we start to talk about it, where we say, is it fair? The fairness balance is getting better. Now, one of the things where we talked about connections and man, no man, for example, technology has helped us a lot. In the past, there was a lack of awareness of many things.
A lot.
Like Uwa has talked about the opportunities she had when Lagos State was selling houses.
Yes.
How many people in the
We're
public
aware.
knew about it? So these opportunities where you say it's man, no man, for you to even be able to take part in an opportunity or leverage an opportunity, you first have to be aware of it.
Absolutely.
So if an opportunity came up somewhere that your father knew about, and your father said, see my daughter, Issy, who never heard about it, her first thought would be his connection.
Absolutely.
But did she even know about it at the time to even say, okay, I can put myself forward? Before the likes of Jobberman and co, how did you used to hear about jobs?
It's who you
It's where you know. So the fact is, a lot of these factors, you have to put it in context. So we're improving. Now people can just reach out on LinkedIn and get a great job. So I would even say to you that today, if you have the right skills, it's not even so much a man, no man. Yes, the term your network is your net worth is no joke, and that's the same everywhere in the world, by the way. So the fact is, as we improve, as we grow, this fairness will become more. Look at our musicians today now. Even Big Brother, it's a leveler. Because you're going with nobody, your hearts.
We shall come back from the break. But you know, when you mentioned 30 under 30, though, I'm just thinking, Uti, some people made that list and they not eventually realized that.
Well, so there you go. I mean, that's what I'm saying, that there are people on both sides of the divide.
Let us go on a break. I want to open our phone lines. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Now, if you just tuned in, it's our ladies' night out, and we are focusing on accountability in Nigeria, right? Perspective of people and leaders. Now, please let us hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. So our phone line is now open. Please call us on 070-250077 49. The number to call is 07025007749. Please turn off the volume of your television set so we can hear ourselves when we're talking. Thank you in advance. You know, so when you mentioned 30, under 30, so shouldn't there be like a standard measure for accountability that hold, you know, like in those days, right, if your name makes a certain list, right, it is prestigious. It is like, you have made it in life. But now, in the world that we have today, it seems like money can buy anything, right? So how do you even start to preach this subject of accountability when even for some kind of prestigious recognition that you would normally not get before only on merit, right? You can actually buy those kinds of things. You know, is it possible for us to actually reach that point where we truly have accountability at the forefront of our existence as a people in Nigeria? That everything we're doing it based on the fact that, you know what, even if nobody's watching, I hold myself accountable and all of that. Or do we need to put institutions like them EFCCs and all those things to check it for it to be able to build it? We can't just grow it like that.
The EFCCs that we have been put into place, how many have they convicted? How many people? Let's be realistic.
But the boss is trying.
It's a thing. Look, Uti nailed it when she said it's a thing of choice. If you as an individual decide to say, I won't do ABC or 1, 2, 3 things because it goes against my belief, you will be able to stay away from it. You'll be able to abstain from it. But when you decide, okay, I can do this and get away with it without any consequence, that is where you decide to say, okay, if I can do this and get away with it without having to face any charge or anyone will not hold me accountable, why won't I do it? Everybody can do that. The key thing here is about mindset, how you were groomed, how you were brought up. If you decide to say, this goes against my principle. Back in the days, they would say, a good name is better than riches. But today is make money or die trying. It's not about what you...
Nobody cares how they make money anymore. They just want to make money, absolutely.
Nobody cares. So the key thing here is about your choices and your mindset.
So how do we hold our leaders accountable?
Holding our leaders.
So first of all, I think that before you talk about holding them accountable, we have to first come to a place of, as utopian as it sounds, we have to first come to a place of, they're not doing the right thing, but I will continue to do the right thing. Hard as it may be, first and foremost, that's important. Because what we expect from our leaders is not something that we can tell ourselves that, look at Lai Mohammed.
Hell.
You know, when you begin to expect more, right, the gap between expectations and reality is huge, right? And that can sway anybody, you know. The day you're very, very hungry and somebody is waving 1,000 naira, 500 naira, you could compromise yourself.
Absolutely.
So I love what you said about personal beliefs. It's important, first of all, that you're grounded. If you're somebody who money cannot sway you, and I know it may sound crazy, but there are people like that.
I'm like that. I used to be like that. I'm not sure now. It depends on the money. So let me not just lie. Money cannot sway me, but it depends on the money.
So even if you say money cannot sway you, let me put it this way. You would have things that you may consider. That's, I think, what we were trying to say in a roundabout way. There are things that if the money is enough, you may consider. But you will have hard stops. There are things that, I mean, today, if they give you 200 billion, are you going to kill somebody? For some people, it's not going to happen. So the reality of it is, when we talk about our leaders, because people I feel now use our leaders' bad behavior as a security blanket. So after all, if our leaders are getting away with it, why should I be the fool? Why should I be the mum? So the idea is, first of all, acknowledge that your leaders are flawed. But if we want to see change in Nigeria, that cannot be our excuse. That cannot be our yardstick. We now need to see ourselves and say, you know what, I don't care what I'm seeing, because this cycle, if you know, it's like a ring. If something keeps going round and round the circle, if you don't one day take something sharp and heavy and break that circle,
it continues.
So
non-stop.
Exactly. So if we tell ourselves that, look, it's just like our youth said, the ones that have gone before us, as far as we're concerned, they failed. They may not have done it in a way that I agree with, but they failed. And we want to do things differently. So when we all start to decide for ourselves that we want Nigeria to be different, we want Nigeria to do things differently, then we all start to take a stand. It's not, yes, there's a place for institutions. There's a place for the EFCC.
Because I was going to come to
the
that.
NFI. There's a place, because let's not forget that all around the world, let's even use children. If they know they can get away with it, they will do it.
They'll do it.
And that's human nature,
Yes.
right? So everywhere where there is sanity,
Is that level of laws that are in place?
has been in place for so long that some things have just become the norm. You know, if you know that when you jump traffic lights, they're going to find your car, you're going to not only get a fine, you're going to lose your license. If that's what you met when you were alive and it's been around.
In France, right? Because my sister, she drives. She was telling me that it's not only, it's not just fining you. They will give, so there's a particular point that you have.
Yeah, on your license.
They will downgrade.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? So you can't mess with your license, because it's not about, because you know how you suffered to get it, right? So if you now what's it called, break the rules, right? They are not just saying, oh, you're paying a fine. That's an easy way out, paying a fine. By the time they downgrade and eventually you
that's the power of the institution.
So I was going to say that because you know,
it feeds.
as we are now, right? As we are now, everybody's accountable until temptation is brought forth before you. Do you understand?
And there are no consequences. Because that's what I was going to come.
I was going to say that, you see, because come 2023, some stroke of luck, something that happens that we truly find the right leaders in power. What is the measure? What's the parameter on ground? Do you understand? Okay, see this NSAS report now. I hope you know that the president of Nigeria has been indicted based on that report that was given.
He said he's not going to talk about it with the
Hold on.
United States Commissioner.
Do you understand? You know, if you look at in critical context, because he's in charge of the police force. Do you understand? He's in charge. There are some directives that cannot come out until, or he then delegates, right? The governor of this state has been indicted as well. If you really want to follow the critical look on that report. So who is holding them accountable to say, you know what? You need to answer to this report. So there's no institution, right? So even if something happens tomorrow, that there's some stroke of miracle, a wand is waved in the air, and Uti becomes president. As long as you know, even though Uti is upright and whatever now, you never smell power. You never smell money. It's true. As long as you know that there are no consequences for whatever it is that you're doing, you're not going to be accountable to anybody. You just do your bidding. So how do we start to place institutions, right, that is independent of this government bureaucracies or whatever it is, that can stand and be like a watchdog to this government? But let me take Charles, then I'll come to you ladies. And we have some messages. Charles, are you there? Thank you for calling.
Yeah, good evening, Uwa.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
Well, my take is as regards to the issue of accountability in this country, even if we have institutions that are supposed to check these are our leaders, I don't like calling them leaders, I like calling them people we have in authority, because I don't really, some of them sometimes they don't really demonstrate what it takes to actually be called a leader. Even if we have institutions that are supposed to check, even if we have institutions that are supposed to check their activities, they still have a way of maneuvering those institutions. And at the end of the day, they don't, some of the way they behave, they don't really show as if they are accountable to us. Look at what happened to the Chief Justice, Justice Medodili the other day. Her residence was attacked. And up till now, as I speak with you, sir, people that were paraded that day, I really do not believe that those people were the people that did that thing. I really do not believe those people that were paraded. And some people have been fingered. Up till now, nothing has happened. If we have a country where the leaders are accountable, there was something was supposed to have been done up till now. Now look at the way the former Chief Justice of the Federation was removed from office through an as parte order. Up till now, that case just died like that. Now come to the issue of NSAS. As far as I'm concerned, nothing will come out from the recommendation of that panel, because the president himself never saw those protests as a genuine protest. He saw it as an attempt to remove his government. So anybody that is holding on, waiting for something to be done, should just be dreaming. Nobody is going to be held accountable. Nobody. I repeat, nobody is going to be held accountable, because as a matter of fact, those people might even be promoted. Those soldiers that went there that day might even be promoted, because he saw it as people that were intending to bring down his government, not even minding the fact that those protests were genuine protests.
Thank you, Charles.
Very much. That's my take this
Thank
evening.
you, Charles. You know, I hear Charles, and when Charles is talking about this government, the leaders or the rulers that we have will find a way to bypass the institution, it means that we do not have an institution, because an institution it can never and should never be weaker than what's it called? Than leadership, right? If they are able to bypass or to go around those institutions, it means that those institutions, they do not exist. You understand? I just want us to put it out clearly. If an institution does exist and they're supposed to be doing what they're meant to do, the institutions cannot be broken. You can't penetrate those institutions if you truly have an institution. I mean, look at Donald Trump in the US. If not for the fact that they have very strong institutions, right?
That was stronger than the man.
Stronger than him. He would have been able to do a lot of things and undo.
So I'm glad you mentioned Donald Trump, because we should also be careful when we talk about institutions, what we are calling institutions. I go back to...
You know what? Hold that thought.
Okay.
Let me take Richard, then I'll come back to you, Oti.
I have something
Richard, thank you for calling. Don't worry, you have some.
Good evening, guys.
Hi, Richard. Thank you for calling.
Yes, we have what is called leadership and rulership.
Oh, rulership.
What we have in Nigeria are a bunch of rulers. Now, how do you think that they will strengthen the institutions to question the terrible things they do in office?
Their leadership.
So the only way for them to keep strengthening what they are doing is to make sure they keep weakening the system. So except we get to that part where the system becomes stronger than the individuals, then people can be called to question. It's as simple as ABC. But with this group of leaders, rulers that we have now, they will never allow the system
You will not allow those institutions to work. Thank you. Uti, complete your thoughts. Yeah.
The consequences is a huge part, and we've said a lot. The judiciary play a huge part in accountability. When you talk about Donald Trump, when you talk about even the situation with your sister and the license, there's a consequence. If your points are reduced, you're at risk of losing your license, your insurance goes up. So many things are impacted. So there are consequences that tell you that, look, if I veer, there will be a problem.
Absolutely.
The American government, if the media today leaks a story, it can bring down a government. The people are powerful, we call for resignations, something happens. Do we have that in Nigeria today? No. So when we are talking about institutions, let's even define what is, because it's not all there's an EFCC. They're not snatching the power from the sky, they're all powerful. What are the consequences of defying this thing? Are there consequences? We as a people, now let me talk about one of the responsibilities that we have. Nigerians are like fish swimming in a fish bowl. As you go around, you forget. As you go around, you forget. Everything that happens in Nigeria, and again, maybe not so much our fault because we've been conditioned that way with what has happened over the years. But there's no follow through. In 2 minutes, we'll forget about something and we'll move on to the next thing. We're all still fighting for daily bread. We're all still fighting to survive. All of that takes up the time. Where some people abroad are dogged in the, I will follow this thing through.
Till the end.
Till the end. We don't have that.
Years.
So, I mean, we're running out of time, so I'll just take my message. So this is from Bissy, and Bissy says, good evening, ladies. Most Nigerians don't care about being accountable, especially when public funds are involved. We feel we do not owe anybody any explanation when asked certain questions we ought to be responsible for. We abuse public utilities while we care about ours. But both the youths and our leaders are guilty of not being accountable. We need to change our orientation to know that accountability is not a weakness, but a strength. We should start training the young ones on the importance of great values. I think Bissy has touched on quite a few important things there.
Then let's take your comment, then I'll come to your comment.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is, there's no name here. Okay, this is from Bobby Kennedy from Jalingo, Taraba State.
You know what? Hold that thought. Let me take Nasir, believe from Bauchi. Okay. Thank you for calling.
Hello, my name is Nasiru Bala from Bauchi.
Thank you for calling, Nasiru.
Yeah, my opinion is that we Nigerians, we don't respect the institutions, we don't respect the laws that our elders like. What I'm saying is that.
Oh, Nasiru, did we lose you? Sorry, sorry about that. Isi, go ahead with your comments, please.
Okay, it's like I said, it's from Bobby Kennedy from Jalingo. He says, accountability in our country has taken a rough dimension totally. The leaders started this menace of corruption, nepotism, conspiracy, tribalism, to mention a few. That actually paved the way for some youth to go extra mile in making sure to follow the trend of living a nasty lifestyle at all costs. May God help us, especially the growing kids. Well done, ladies. Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby Kennedy. Yeah, you're going to say.
I was going to say this, that we are talking about America. Ghana here, who put it in place? When, God bless his soul, Jerry Rollins said something. When he started it, he said, no, he's going to make sure that there is a constitution in place, that even if the devil comes into power, the devil cannot change that constitution. Do we have something like that in Nigeria? No. I rest my case.
Okay. Where do we go from here?
We have hope.
No, we'll always have hope. I think that for me, we still come back to that point where every individual needs to make a conscious decision to be accountable to themselves. If we know today that I won't do this thing, then that thing stops happening. Issy takes the same decision, you take the same decision. As a collective, we've made a change. So the idea is we all need to be committed to that. It's difficult because everybody's circumstances are different. Some decisions and some choices may be easier for some people than some. But until we take that step, we're not going to get further.
So I was at a meeting today. Sorry. Okay. I was at a meeting today. It was a political meeting. Somebody is trying to run for office. I remember talking and I got very upset when certain people's names were mentioned that ran for presidency in 2019. I was upset not because I was upset because, let me just say why, not for the not. Because I felt like these people do not even understand the gravity of where we are as a country, like the real issues. And for some people, it's just for me to just be there and clout chase, as far as I was concerned, with some of those candidates. Because if truly you understand what Nigeria needs, right, you would not be silent. Even when the elections did not go your way, there will still have been a lot of things going in the background, working visibly. We're seeing you at the forefront, pushing, and pushing. So for as long as, even for these people that we are talking about, we're coming, election year is coming, right? Yeah. We need to start to, even these people, we need to question why they're doing the things that they're doing and hold them accountable. Because you are making us believe that you actually do have the interest of the country at heart. And after we have put in all our weight and everything, you think, No, we should be able to call out people, right? And just give them basbos like that. Do you understand? Yes, Uti. Because even while we are holding ourselves accountable, we must also demand accountability from people like that. Especially people that we have put in energy to try to push for them to also get into leadership roles. They know themselves.
Committed to pushing
What I was
forward.
going to say
Quickly,
was,
Isi.
what I was going to say was the fact that, you know, we have this slogan which we always say in Nigeria: if you can beat them, you join them. That has been the slogan that people who go into power, and when they go into power, they'll say, okay, I've tried to do it this way and it didn't work out, so things are, you know, flying by me, so I have to join them. And basically, I would say this: you have to have that mindset that you won't be derailed. You have that responsibility
Not to
the
be derailed.
people,
Okay.
to the people, and to your, paramountly to yourself and the name you represent.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
On that note, thank you, Uti. Thank you, Isi. So before we go, do ensure you follow us on Instagram. It's at PlusTvAfrica. You can interact with us further, drop a comment, and more importantly, we've started a giveaway. So follow us on Instagram to see all the goodies that are up for grabs. If you missed today's quote, here it is again. Very easy. Accept responsibility for your actions, be accountable for your results, and take ownership for your mistakes. This is very short and simple. See you guys tomorrow at 8 p.m. as we bring another great conversation to your screen. Enjoy.